Jai Hind and welcome to Dev Talks. This is Aadi. Pakistan is in a bit of a crisis, in a bit of a mayhem, if we actually put it that way. The flooding situation in Pakistan is getting no better, and that is something that we're going to discuss today. As you can see, I have with me Lieutenant General Ravi Shankar. Sir, good evening. Welcome for this second live session. Actually, we've never covered Pakistan this intently. It's quite a crisis happening there.
Yeah, good evening, Adi, and good evening, and to all our viewers. I agree with you. The condition is a little abnormal in Pakistan. Pakistan has never had such great floods in all its history. Uh, it had floods in 2010, about which we'll talk about later, and this is far more. And we all know that uh, Pakistan is in an economic crisis. Both these make a hectic cocktail, and many people think of Pakistan nuclear, military coups, and things like that, economy, poor economy, and all that. But there's a major criticality in Pakistan, and that's called water, and that's what I think we should be talking about. And as we discussed, uh, you know, understanding Pakistan demands that you understand the water situation. Today, there's excess of water, but there are other hues of this, and they are going to get affected and going to come into play in a big way. And that's why Adi and I chose this topic in such quick succession. After all, just 3 days back, we discussed the politics and the geopolitical issues about, you know,
Pakistan.
Pakistan. So Adi, lead the way.
So, before I start, again, as you said, I'd like to just mention here straight off. I think Imran Khan, Shehbaz Sharif, Pakistani Army, yes, all these guys may feature in this particular discussion, but they're not the main prime focus of it. It's going to be understanding what is the long-term impact of this particular flood that is taking place in Pakistan. We may see it as a small affair, as a thing, because we do also have similar situations in India, but the scale at which this has not happened in one city or one particular area. It's happened across the country. There is no particular province or state, as you may understand it in India, which has not been affected by this flooding. So I'd like you to help us understand where exactly the flooding is, because I think there's we've seen videos from Balochistan, we've seen videos from here or there, but collectively put in a straight picture what's happening.
Yeah, can we have the slides? We'll go over it. Yeah, this is where are the floods in Pakistan? A $1 million question, right? This is where it is. Lower reaches of Indus, which is badly affected. Upper reaches, this is Balochistan, places in Balochistan where floods have occurred. I believe about 7 dams, about 15-20 bridges have been washed away. This is the area where the Swat River is there, and the Mohammed Dam, which is under construction with the Chinese help, has broken down, or there's been serious damage to it. And in other places, there have been flash floods. You see, what is not given here is people. This gives you the idea where damage to houses have taken place. But the floods are on a wider area, and the effect is wide. And complete the Indus Valley crops have been destroyed, so it's widespread. But it's instructive to understand that in 2010 also, Pakistan had a huge flood. If you have a look at it, this was this type of flooding which took place. Uh, if you see this and this, you see some kind of a similarity in this dark shaded portions. But the only thing is, this time they say the severity is more. Okay, this is the time again. Everything along the Indus Valley. This is of 2010 map of 2010. The map which I showed you is not a full map. A lot of maps have not come out. In fact, the kind of a post-flood analysis has not come out yet. When it comes, it might be more frightening than this. But just imagine floods of this nature twice in a decade.
Mhm.
Okay, so it's pretty serious. This was another map which indicated this from the BBC, basically from USA, which says how vulnerable it is. Why, if you see this, the first map and this map, which you will see why. Balochistan, this is Tonsa Barrage, that's also got affected. So this place gets affected, south of Tonsa Barrage. Then you see Tarbaila Dam and north of that, again, where flooding takes place. That's where the Swat River is also there, and this Norman Dam. So everything is along the Indus. Okay, so Indus is the low point of Pakistan, and that is where the thing is. Okay, we'll talk about water stress a little later. So this is what it is about so far. We can take this off and then we can talk. Uh, right. So if you see the floods here at this point of time, fully has not come out, but the damage is extensive. Crops gone. Next sowing season, we don't know. What's the damage which will recover? We don't know. And it is assessed to be much more than what it was in 2010. The initial reports have only come, initial maps have come. So you have to understand this and this thing. The more important thing which we have to understand is the post-flood situation. Okay, floods have come, it will go. Okay, but what is the problem with Pakistan? Why have these floods occurred? Could they have been, mitigated by forestalling action? Okay, and uh, yeah, what shall I say? Um, okay, could they have been mitigated by taking some action? All these questions were asked in 2010. Okay, everyone knew that Pakistan is going to be water stressed. It is water stressed. Okay, everyone knew that there's going to be this thing. They had a grand plan. Okay, to revive water and all that, and yet nothing has happened in the past 12 years, and they've come suffered a more serious thing. Why they have not done this? The reasons are obvious. They don't have economy. They were busy with Afghanistan. The army was fighting with the politicians. The politicians were fighting amongst themselves. And then all these chaps were fighting with Taliban sometimes and TTP sometimes, and sometimes they were aiding Taliban. So they were more busy in this, geopolitics and frontline state and all that. And they forgot what they had to do in 2010. And now they are in almost the same mess. Now, what will happen? What Pakistan has a certain water capacity. That water capacity is now denuded because of these floods. Their holding capacity has gone down. The floods will dry out. It's now the dry season, right? What will happen now? That is the crux. And I've always felt that the weakest link of Pakistan is not politics, it's not military, it's not nuclear, it is not money, it is not anything. The weakest link of Pakistan is water. And that's what I would like to put across to everyone today. So let's have the slide, we can go over it. Unless you have anything to say, Adi.
No, as a matter of fact, sir, just brings to mind a good old. I don't know where I read this, but they say that you're 9 missed meals away from a chaotic situation. What you talk about seems to be hinting at that because food is going to become a big
Yeah.
crisis. Uh,
See, we've always been talking that till 2-3 years back, Pakistan was a food exporter. Now it's a net food importer. And
Importer.
now this has also been hit, right? Agriculture is 20% of their economy, and they are still an agrarian economy at the heart of it,
Largely.
largely. Yeah. So let's have this slide back. Yeah. Now you
One
look
second.
at this slide. Okay.
One
Yeah.
second, sir.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, no, it's okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. Now, over the years, the per capita cubic meters has keep gone down. If you see, why I have shown you the slide, that the next slide will complicate this whole thing, is to understand this. A country is supposed to be water stressed if it cannot give, if the water availability per individual is less than 1,700 uh, cubic meters. Okay. If the thing goes below 1,000, it is supposed to be water scarce nation. If it goes below 500, okay, that is 500 liters basically. Cubic meters, 500 liters. Then you're looking at absolute water scarcity, right? Now, if you see somewhere around 2000, between 2005 and 10, Pakistan has gone below the water scarcity line. And it is expected in the next 2 to 3 years, it is going to go below the absolute water scarcity level. Then, okay, if you see this slide, this explains things slightly greater detail. This is the water stress line. This is the water scarcity. This is the absolute water scarcity. The availability per cubic meter, or that is basically 1 liter. Oh, sorry, has kept coming down as the population has kept increasing. So it is not as if the amount of water which is available in Pakistan has gone down. The amount of water is available is there, but the population has gone up. Because the population has grown, outgrown everything, you see that around 2023-24, it is going to go into absolute water scarcity. Fundamental. If we understand this, a lot of things about Pakistan are built around this. Okay, sometime back I had written an article called The Indus Curse on Pakistan's Future. You have to understand, the Indus probably for Pakistan is a cursed river. Think, when did the last kingdom or people flourish in the Indus Valley? After the Dravidian civilization. Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, and all this were part of the Dravidian civilization. After that, was there any great kingdom there? No. They were all much towards the east in India. And you notice the Indus Valley has been historically a war-torn, crisscrossed by turbulent hordes. People used to come, even Alexander came and went. All the Afghans and the Persian kings from Babur and Nadir Shah and all those types came from there, crossed the Indus, created havoc and went back. In fact, this area is virtually cursed, right? It has never been stable. And Pakistan has inherited this Indus curse. The problem is that it is going to remain our neighbor in its unnatural form in a constant state of turbulence. The turbulence is due to many factors, not water alone. Politics, militarization, coups, we know that. But water is the fundamental. Okay. Now, I also had written an article why Pakistan is hurtling towards, water scarcity. That's the thing. There's the link. You can have a look at it. And some issues which I wrote in that, I reproduce for all of you. I'll read it through. Now, most of us tend to believe that Pakistan will fail as a state due to its poor economy, terrorism, or over militarism. That's what we have been saying. Right? That's the talk in strategic chat rooms or cocktail circuits. That's what even now we all think. But please understand, it is solely dependent on the Indus River basin. It is a single source, high risk fate. It's thrust upon it by geography and partition. There are no additional water sources which can be brought into the system. It's not like India, where the Ganga is fed by so many other river systems, Kosi, Gagra, even from Chambal, which comes from the Deccan, feeds. Then you have Yamuna and all these, and it's not one river system. If you leave that out, you have Brahmaputra. If you don't leave that out, you have Krishna, Godavari, Narmada. You go down south, you have. They might not be great rivers, but they complement each other. You have fallback options. This is a single river system, right? And this is what I wrote then. At that point of time, the economy was hemorrhaging, and the nation needed an IMF bailout. That this is that IMF bailout which is still pulling on. This is the start of that. But the bailout has no water element in it. Even now, Pakistan can't use this IMF bailout to alleviate their water problems. It is for liquidity, imports, and XYZ. That's a little this thing. Right. What is not so well known is, I mean, it is in fact not. It is very well known. Pakistan's military spending has been rising continuously. In 2018, it spent 4% of its GDP on its bloated military. Now, every penny it has been spending on arms is a penny less for water. That's the point. In 2010, when they had this problem, and there's a World Bank report on how to alleviate the water problems, these people spent money on military and not on water. And now you have a useless military which cannot save the country from water, or rather, too much of water. The next point, which is again important, if you think CPC is going to help them, sorry. All water related projects have either been pulled out from the China Pakistan economic corridor or are under review with no timeline whatsoever. Because many of these projects, as part of the CPC, they built on rivers or were planned on rivers where India had a say. We've objected. Plus, the conditions which China laid on Pakistan were difficult, or X, Y, Z. The complete water thing has come out of the CPC. So IMF पैसा नहीं है, CPC का पैसा नहीं है, so water में क्या करेंगे ये? Loan from Gulf countries, Saudi Arabia and China, which they have otherwise taken, does not cover water. Pakistan slide into water scarcity. I will say slide into absolute water scarcity is unchecked, and it has been unchecked for the past 12 years. There is no solution. Once the absolute scarcity level is hit, the situation is irrevocable. This is not my talk, this is as per Pakistani documents. Pakistan has an existential problem. It is not from India, not from Afghanistan, which I have always been saying that it is from water, or rather lack of it. Today it is suffering from more of it, tomorrow it will be from lack of it. What is the usage of water? You see, a lot of water, 70% of water usage is in agriculture, which is 20% of their GDP, which is a big number. If that fails, Pakistan fails. Another problem. This, as per the UNDP map, groundwater in their plains, the blue ones are generally the deserts and the hilly areas. The Indus Valley, the groundwater in these areas has more than safe levels of arsenic contamination. Unsafe levels of arsenic contamination. Polluted. Okay. Right. There are about 8 to 9 problems which Pakistan faces because of water, which I had put in that one of these two articles. If you read both these articles, those of you who want to tweet it out to your friends or send it to your friends, please take it. Firstly, Pakistan is dependent only on the Indus Basin River. It is a single source, high risk, thrust upon it by geography and partition. We know that. It has no additional thing. Water sources which can be brought into the system. Second, the problem. Its population is exploding in a depleting water scenario. Glaciers are melting, climate change is taking place. Third, this is again, Pakistan has a 30-day water storage capacity. Now, when you compare it, USA has 900 days. That means USA can survive without rain for 3 years. South Africa has 500 days. India has 120 to 220 days, 6 months. 4 to 6 months. They have only 30 days. Out of the 30 days, I don't know how many days has gone in this floods. So it's even further. Risk, it does not have the capacity to, right? Fifth, conveyance of water available is only about 40% efficient. This was before this flood. What is this efficiency depend on? It depends on the depth of the canals, how many canals are there, how much embankments are there, what is the water evaporation, how where it is stored, how it is dredged, cleaned, so many other things. It was only 40% efficient. Okay, that means out of, if you put 10 buckets of water at the top, only 4 buckets water reach the bottom. Right now, this would have got hit because a lot of embankments would have got flattened out. A lot of silting would have taken place where it's not required. So I don't want to put a figure, but if I say it will be 30% efficient in this current condition, I won't be wrong. Okay. Sixth problem. Now severe degradation of the resource base has occurred. Now groundwater was once the savior of Pakistan. That is depleted due to overexploitation. I mean, let me tell you, many of these problems apply to India also, but we are discussing Pakistan. If you want to discuss India someday, I'll speak about it, and we'll know what the horror situation we are in. That's a different story. Now, all freshwater bodies are shrinking there. 70% of underground and lake water is unfit for drinking and harmful for crops. This will become even worse because when such floods happen, a lot of dead bodies get accumulated in this water, and it will be even worse. It is contaminated with bacteria, arsenic, and other toxic substances. As per a UN report, Pakistan's economy is the most water intensive and dependent in the world. Apex position it has. Now, its water withdrawal as a percentage of total water renewable water sources is 74%. If you renew 100%, 74% it draws out. In Iran, it is 67%. India, it is 40%. Afghanistan, it is 31%. China, it is 19.5%. But I think at this point of time, China and Pakistan are, competing because China has their system has gone totally awful.
Right.
This is an old report. Okay. Now, seventh, flooding and drainage problems are set to increase in the lower Indus basin due to a combination of building embankments to restrict meandering of the river and rising bed levels due to silt collection. The latest is that the the Indus water does not reach the sea. There is saline water which comes up the Indus River bed. Okay. Now, uh, eighth, climate change is going to take a toll on variability of water flows in the river, which is happening. At one stage, it will be too much. It will be. This will either cause floods or droughts unpredictably. 2 years back, I wrote all this. And all this is available in literature in Pakistan. I don't have any original source. These are all Pakistani sources and UN sources. Ninth, Pakistan has not built a knowledgeable base of the complex Indus system. This is what the World Bank report says. Infrastructure is in a poor state of maintenance, which would have got eroded now. Government deficit is high and project implementation poor. Lastly, Pakistan is broke. No one pays for water. This was effective since Freedom at Midnight, circa 1947. You see, in our system, if you get water, नहर का पानी आता है, you have to pay for it. यहाँ कोई नहीं pay करता. So the tax base is low. If you don't have taxes, you don't have water being paid for. How will you maintain? If you see this, and now you see the event after the thing after the floods, what do you think Pakistan's status will be? Right? We can take this slide off. Now, yeah. You tell me, Adi. What is the future you see for Pakistan after these floods? You don't need a magician.
Amazing, sir. I wonder. See, there are two questions that come out of this entire thing. One is that the main factor that one can see is that this is not a problem that has come out yesterday, as for apart from what is being portrayed across in the news media today. That oh, suddenly bas barish ho gaya and everything has just got flooded. 786%. I'm sure all the viewers, everybody who this video is going to reach would have known this figure of 786%. So there's nobody is really talking about the problem. Okay, that's point number one. The point number two is, which is the and the funniest part about this entire thing is that this is an issue which is probably going to hit every country, especially in this part of the world. These are, you know, weather dependent countries, and until and unless there is a permanent solution which is found, it is. I
No,
mean,
look,
indescribable.
let me put things in perspective. Everyone knew this problem in Pakistan. Is no doubt. Look, 2 years back, all this was apparent to me. In one of my articles, I said the real werewolf at Pakistan's door is water. It's waiting at the door to eat it up. What will Pakistan do now? The IMF loan which is being given to Pakistan can't be used for water still. Okay, China is not giving them any loan. China में खुद अकाल हो रहा है, उसका पैसा टपक रहा है. Today there is a this thing. They have said already. I mean, today's evening, China, South China Morning Post headline: the economic growth of China or the economic future. It's not only growth; the economic future of China looks murky. This is the word they use. Youth unemployment in China is 20%. 1 out of 5 graduates who comes out of a college doesn't have a job there. Superpower. That fellow can't give this chap any money.
He's
All the
given
CPs,
25,000 pence.
just think. I understand. If in rains of this nature, a lot of this Karakoram highway would have got damaged. Okay, more infrastructure would have got damaged, which will worsen the situation. Who will pay for it? The CPC itself in many places would have gone fut. It'll come out. All these will come out. I'm not this thing. They were running at food inflation of 44%, and they don't have food, and people are going to die. Look, my heart goes out to the average Pakistani.
No, there's no question.
This army, their politicians, and everyone have let 220 million people down the drain. What a we're going to see these things. I saw one clip where say one Pakistani says ये कोई नहीं आया हमारे पास पिछले 5 दिन से हमें ना खाना है ना कुछ है ये क्या गवर्नमेंट है ये क्या आर्मी है क्या है ये देखो you can say whatever you want about the Indian government and not only this government in previous governments, right? We've had some tremendous bloody storms. We have some tremendous disasters, but yet we have learned how to look after ourselves. We have learned how to build uh, the basics for our people. This country has got no future on that. So, yeah, your view, and then we'll take it forward.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. I've got some questions. Please start firing up your questions. It's getting to the point of time in the show when we'll start taking your questions as well. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and of course, you can contribute to the Dev Talks effort with the options mentioned on the screen below. So my last question to you, and the biggest critical mass of the whole question, is the factor that we saw a video coming out of General Bajwa, and till now I had a little bit of an iota of respect for him in terms of how he's carried himself all this while. Of course, not in any other way, but just the way that he's portrayed his maturity. But the statement was absolutely, I mean, for me, it was a revelation. He said, यहाँ से पैसे आ जाएंगे, वहां से पैसे आ जाएंगे, यहाँ से पैसे आ जाएंगे, and वहां से पैसे आ जाएंगे. And this is a public media statement. Here is a man with such a strong army, 6 lakh force. He can get stuff done. I'm sure he's got enough reserves kept in his stores, to give it to people. What are they doing?
What are they doing? Ask them.
These are questions which are not being asked, and that is what
Look,
surprises me.
what is that Fauji Foundation, which is worth more than $1 billion, doing? What are these army chaps doing except flying in a helicopter and saying पैसा यहाँ से आ जाएंगे वहां से आ
Exactly.
जाएंगे बाकी हमसे भीख मांगेंगे हम पर हमारा तनख्वाह बढ़ना चाहिए हम हथियार खरीदेंगे हम इनको खाना नहीं खिलाएंगे.
ISPR has put out a tweet that they want to buy radar systems from Turkey. Right? I mean,
In
day
this
away.
time, yeah, they can use that radar system to see which is the next storm coming or the flood coming. Look, I am
And
not.
they,
I if you see, ask me politically or militarily, I'm very glad they're doing it because that will be the end of Pakistan. But that's not the way I look at it. These are people. Okay, you might not like the country of Pakistan, but people, they might not like us. Like our prime minister has tweeted, and the reaction from there is that don't take anything from India. No need. We don't have to give them anything. If they want, we'll give. Let them ask. If you see the tweet of our prime minister and the reply of their prime minister and the replies to that in the Twitter, I
in the
mean,
comments,
they're not bothered. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't
still,
matter. As far as I'm concerned, we need not give them anything unless they ask for it. If they ask for it, we should give them.
it's a stinking attitude. That's all I would say. And
No, it's
I,
not stinking. It's not. I would say it's not stinking attitude. It's a psychology. It's a psychology driven from top to bottom. Okay. Anyway, we'll leave that. But as
yeah,
far
I mean,
as I'm
let's,
concerned, where does it take Pakistan?
yeah,
That's the point. There is competitive rehab going on in Pakistan between the government and Imran Khan. Both are competing with each other as to who's performing better during these floods. Already there's someone who says, "Oh, Imran Khan, because of Imran Khan, $5 अरब आ गए. ये government ने कुछ नहीं किया. Government is saying something else. This kind of competitive politics has come up, which will only polarize this political situation even worse. Whatever aid, which is whoever gives, will be pittance compared to their actual problem. That
that's it.
IMF loan which comes, you've seen in Sri Lanka, your petrol will go up, your food will go up, your import cost will go up, everything will go up. As it is, the Pakistan rupee to a dollar had gone back to 222 or 223 2 days back. It will go even worse. Basics like tomatoes, onions, and dal, sabji will all go out of reach out of people. Okay, and still the prime minister of the country says whatever Modi is doing is for Kashmir. I mean, I pity them. That's all I can say. Right? This country has come to a stage where I don't think it can be helped by normal methods. Right? I don't think it can help itself. I don't think, and considering the situation all over the world, Ukraine war going on, if there's a nuclear catastrophe here, everyone will forget about Pakistan, which is almost there in the Zaporozhye plant. China, if its economy goes down, they'll not look at these fellows, and they have to cut their losses in CPEC and get going. Okay, as it is, the Chinese economy is spluttering because their oil demand has gone down and the oil prices are falling. The oil prices today are falling because of inadequate demand from China. Why is there inadequate demand from China? Their economy is going down. As simple as that.
They're locking up, sir.
Yeah. So where is this country going? We have to think. because it's
They
our
want to
neighbor.
take Kashmir back. They're going to
No,
take Kashmir back.
what
I mean,
look, whatever they want to take, let them take. Okay, as far as it's not our part of Kashmir, and we'll not give it back to them, that there's no doubt. In any case, they can't do anything more. I mean, they're in no situation. The only thing I can put it across, look, if I get out of this emotional thing with Pakistan and whatever is happening, and I look at it from purely a geopolitical and a geostrategic perspective, uh, sometime back in this channel only, I said I've never seen Pakistan in such a weak condition. I think I was too early. This will take Pakistan to a different level of weakness. And this gives you the ability to look beyond Pakistan. For the next 5 to 10 years, Pakistan cannot do anything. In fact, Pakistan is your secure flank. It gives you a window of opportunity to focus on China. If Indian government doesn't take this opportunity with both its hands, then we're off the mark.
right.
I
Let's
finished. Is there anything else, or we can go in for questions?
no. So let's start with the questions. I think
Yeah.
this is a never-ending discussion. So I think it's time that we. How is the common man of Pakistan spending his time and money, and what is his ideology?
Yeah, they're a very good question. Keep that question on if you don't mind. Neil, I must thank you because you brought out two, three good things in this. The common man in Pakistan has got a lot of time. He has no money. Okay, so what does a chap with a lot of time and no money have? He can only have an ideology. And that ideology is vitriolic. That's why I said if you see the tweets and the replies to the tweets of Mr. Shabazz Sharif,
That's
you
an
will
eye opener.
realize it's an eye opener as to how much those people don't like India, and the reason for existence is being anti India, not being India or anti India. And this is crystallized over the past 75 years with no other thought except radicalism and being anti Indian. That's his ideology. Yeah.
Indeed. Uh, let's move on. Okay, for waiting for
Toronto.
this Sunday, I guess you went ahead. Thanks, Adi. Well, we're coming up with Sunday as well. There's going to be a whole new discussion on Sunday, so let's wait for that. Harsh says, will Pakistan look towards Iran for food shortages, or will Qatar pitch in?
Well, that's a fair question. A lot of people are pitching in. Iran has also said they'll give something. Qatar has also said they'll give something. I suppose a lot of people will give something or the other. The UN also has mobilized funds and money and aid. But one interesting thing is they all said they'll give relief material. No one is giving money. They know if you give money to Pakistan, where it will go. So everything is coming in terms of aid. Okay. Even China has given only tents. Their bosom brother has given only tents and hardly. What do you do with tents in this kind of situation? They need food.
Yep. Putting them on
Okay.
the road and things.
Yeah. Okay. Tents are useful, but uh,
Hmm.
the other
They
things are
get
more
what?
important.
I think $3 million or something like that, if
Yeah,
I'm
$3
not
million.
mistaken.
That's it. So, iron brother. So there is a lot of. There will be help coming in, but this help will last them 1 week, 10 days, and after that, what? After that, Pakistan has to survive on its own. Okay. Next, Adi. Yeah.
Harsh actually asked,
So
I'm sorry, there's a bit of a glitch. Harsh actually
every-
asked a very interesting question, and I wanted to bring this up. He says natural calamities are also breeding grounds for groups like LET and LEJ to aid people in absence of government presence to masses and garner support. Will we see this unfolding in Balochistan and KPK? I'd like to just, before you get into this, I think, one of the biggest things that we also see that Hafiz Saeed, when he got his legitimacy pretty much in a similar scenario. And that's, I
yeah,
think, a very, very valid and very interesting observation.
yeah. I think it's a fair observation. Um, uh, Hafiz Saeed,
Hafiz Saeed.
yeah, Hafiz Saeed and the Jamatud Dawa got a lot of connect with the people when the earthquake took place, right? So this is a similar situation. Uh, one has to see whether the Baluch rebels and the TTP and they all come up and do that. If the government is absent and in this kind of a time, the militants will take over. It's a natural outflow. Whether it will happen now or not is to be seen. If it happens, then you're looking at an even worse condition in Pakistan.
One thing I'd like to mention here, sir, see, those guys had a certain source of stuff coming inside still. They had a lot of funding coming from Saudi, Qatar, and this and that. It seems to be on the bit of a low side. So,
You don't know.
yeah, I mean, of course,
You
there's
don't
there's
know.
always.
In a place where there's no help, if these chaps given even physical help of giving some shelter, organizing the people into something is good enough. It's a matter of relativity. Someone doing nothing vis-a-vis someone doing something.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Ashay says that there are unofficial news about India giving aid. Why do we like to shoot ourselves in the foot?
Well, I don't know. It's unofficial news, so let it lie at that. I don't think there's officially we're going to give them anything.
Well, there are certain reports which spoke about that even some obviously anonymous government official talking about, and this was quoted across in the media
See,
also
there will
that
be some talk. There will be some back-channel talk. The situation says that there will be some talk. There's no doubt. But till something official comes out, I don't think. Even anything unofficial comes out will become official after some time. So let us wait. I don't think we should, you know. After all, when our prime minister has not offered them any help, why should we take a different line?
biggest problem for Pakistan is that their fertility rate is still very high at 3.3. India and Bangladesh were successful enough to reduce theirs below replacement levels.
I agree completely with Sachin. Because of this uncontrolled population growth, you saw by 2030 they're going to be at some 230, anything between 230 to 250 million people, and that's when it will going to start pinching them. Water scarcity plus food scarcity plus economy in ruins, etc., etc. I don't know where this country will end up in the next 10 years.
Guys, hit the like button, please. There are little less likes rather than before show, so please do that for me. It helps reaching more people. That's most important for me at the moment. Let's move on. Pakistan is sending terrorists, and Indians are thinking of giving aid.
No, I don't think that's a fair one. I don't think Pakistan has got the capability of sending terrorists today. And I don't think we are contemplating aid in the manner which people are thinking. Look, at the end of the day, something you need to give to people who are in distress, right? To that extent, I don't think we should take a such a hard line. Your problem is not with the people of Pakistan as much as with the army and the politics and all that. Uh, I agree that the normal Pakistani mind is absolutely anti-Indian. That's what I said. But still, a life is a life, and why should we harm the
And
poor and the children and the
even
weak?
if it needs to go, I think India is not going to go personally and do it. It's going to go through the
Yeah, they
UN.
have to ask for it. Yes, I agree with you. They have to ask for it. Unless something comes forth from them, nothing will happen.
I think it's going to go through the human aid organizations, so the UN or
Well,
something
fine.
like that. Yeah,
That's okay. That we have to do it as part of a larger
society.
issue also. Yeah.
Yes. Uh, is it the right time to take that POK? Okay, before Pakistan has a
I look. I don't think we should get fixated on POK. This is not the politically. We look. I've been saying this on and on and on and on. Taking back POK needs a lot of political groundwork. Unless that political groundwork is not there, we should not do anything. Are you sure if you take back POK today that you will be able to handle the political situation in POK? We are not. We don't have local contacts. We don't have any movement going out there. We don't know the local thing. On the other hand, people in that area, some of them want to get a provincial status in Pakistan. Okay, so there are issues in this, right? So I don't think we should even think of it at this point of time.
Does these donations from Gulf give temporary relief to Pakistan? Where does this money go?
Where does this money go is $1 million question, which it doesn't need great thinking to answer. It will go into the pockets of all the politicians and the military and all to a fair extent. Okay, so whatever, that's why many of them are not giving money, they're giving material, relief material in dollar terms. Okay, so I mean, everyone now knows where money will go in Pakistan. The few pockets which will go, it will go there, and nothing will go to the bottom. Yeah,
That's, I think, the saddest part of the whole story. Pakistan is already failing to feed itself. More children than parents mean they'll have more to build more schools and hospitals to keep up. Otherwise, it's bust. India
yeah,
had
that's
its
a,
peak of kids in 2000s.
yeah. Let's not forget. Let's forget about India, but they had a problem. They schools and all are later. What about basic immunization? What about uh, uh, you know antenatal care for the mothers, right? So the MMR, the female mortality rate is maternal mortality rate is pretty high in Pakistan. So there
As
are
it is.
fundamental issues. There, what about food for all these people who are being born, brought into this world? So there are basic issues. Schools also. I mean, I'm not saying that schools are not the thing. Education. But if that school is going to teach you all about radicalization and uh, you know everything, then what's the use of that school also? Well, that's a different story.
And
So
there's
there
another
are,
thing, sir. Sorry,
yeah,
please.
yeah. Please go ahead.
My point is that this is a I mean, I won't say temporary, but it's a very recent phenomenon. It's just about 2 weeks old or a week old. It's not something that is going on. And if this thing actually carries forward, the impact in terms of the societal contract of Pakistan is going to be coming into question. Now, I'm not saying that it is going to break up, but there's going to be issues.
See, that is already under strain, and after this event, and in the post aftermath of this event, the contract between the government and the people of Pakistan is going to be strained hell of a lot, irrespective of who comes to power. It appears now after this event, you might find Imran Khan sweeping into power, but Imran Khan talking big out of government and being in government is two different things. And I don't think anyone today in Pakistan, whether it's Imran Khan or Imran Khan, though will definitely ruin Pakistan even further, or anyone can save Pakistan unless Pakistan takes a U-turn in its thinking. That is not visible.
That's
Okay,
the problem.
that's the problem. So the trust in the government will go after this. So let's see. It's interesting how Pakistan. That's why I said Pakistan will be on a permanent crutch for the next 5 to 10 years if they have a good government. If they don't have a good government now, you can extend that period. And that's what I said gives you the time. You have a secure flank. Pakistan can do nothing for the next 5 to 10 years. How that is a matter of after about 3 4 years, you reassess whether it can do anything to you, where it's going, and you keep rolling it forward. And this gives you the time to focus completely on China. It gives you a time to completely stabilize yourself, right? But if you uh, you know like what are the reports which you come on which are coming on TV on corruption, on ethnic issues, on abusing people, abusing women, you know all those things, those that eats away the internal strength. It doesn't matter who's right or wrong, it eats into your own strength. And if that happens, then we don't gain anything. But if we can consolidate our social issues, focus on China, build on the rising GDP which we have, then we are in business. Okay.
Mr. Nair says in similar conditions, Indian Army is always deployed in the aid of the civil authority.
Mr.
Yeah,
Nair is a very interesting man because he's put a big comment on my blog. Okay, I would request everyone to see that. So, I have a. mm, he's got some ideas which I don't agree to. I didn't comment back on that blog because I don't think I should. Even now, I'm not going to comment on what is written on that blog. Have a look at it and form your own words. Naturally, Pakistan Army will get deployed, and by now it would have been deployed completely.
but their attitude is something I think we discussed.
That's a
I mean,
different look. That's a different story. Their attitude could be anything, but Pakistan Army is deployed. Even the chief has gone around many places.
having said
So
that, I think at the ground level, we've seen some amazing helicopter rescues being done. Videos are there across, so I'm sure
yeah, look, uh,
you know.
look. At the end of the day, you must understand at the below certain level, Pakistan Army is a pretty professional army. They'll do the right thing. Okay, so let's not wish away that they're all fools. No, they're not.
Satyam asks if there is an extreme water scarcity, won't millions of poor Pakistanis try to migrate to India?
I doubt. I doubt because their ideology is totally different. I don't think they'll come to India. Some might try to come. I'm not saying no, but they will not. Now, see again, have a look at the tweet given out by their prime minister, and see the replies to that tweet. You'll get an idea as to where they stand.
It's
So, right, it's a bit of an eye opener. As a result, you will not find that mass migration into India. That will not happen. In any case, you have the border fence, which is quite strong. So, at best, we can set up camps on that side of the border and keep them there only.
okay. I'm not going to even attempt pronouncing the name. India
Yeah,
should
but
never help Pakistan.
I don't think that's the way I should would go forward. If Pakistan doesn't want aid, that's okay. Don't give it to them. But on a people-to-people level, we must. During the earthquake, we did. During the last floods, we did. Okay, so we should not close our eyes at humanitarian assistance. That will not put us in a bad
Always.
light.
Yeah, yeah.
We have given humanitarian assistance to Sri Lanka. We have given humanitarian assistance to Indonesia during the tsunami, Nepal,
We sent it to
even
Ukraine.
Ukraine. So we should not run away from being humanitarian
Absolutely.
uh,
There's no question
in
about
our
it.
approach. It's a different thing because of the very peculiar nature of Indo-Pak relations. You might not offer it to them; they might not take it. But if they need it, we must give it.
True. Uh, if the Indus River is a single point of failure for Pakistan, then a nuke to the Indus River would mean the end of Pakistan, isn't it?
Look, look.
It's a bit radical.
Don't even think of these things.
Yeah.
Okay, India, it will lead to mass deaths. We are not killers of that kind. That you nuke a river and contaminate the whole system, and you find bodies floating out. That's not the India which I would like to be in. It's one thing that nation could be your enemy, it could be your adversary, you could have fight with them. There's honor in fighting. You need to do it honorably. Okay. Even Chanakya Niti says that you need to give honor to
Your enemy.
enemy. Honor the enemy. Give him a way out always. Yeah.
Heavy floods do lead to earthquakes now. Yeah, that's a
Yeah, I agree with you, Satyam, on that score. But let us see because this
Pakistan
uh,
is an earthquake prone country,
in
so
a earthquake prone zone, and if a lot of rains come, there could be mudslides and landslides, and it could uh, result in something else. And mind you, these need not come now. These could come as the you see what happens geologically. The Himalayas are young. If there are cracks in the mountains and due to heavy rain, if the cracks get filled and subterranean and areas get impregnated with water, okay, As they get impregnated with water, they start to expand.
Yeah.
And come some winter season, they start to contract because it will give the water away. And that is when this whole place becomes loose and it starts falling. Those of you who served in high altitudes and the mountainous areas, this is a feature which happens in winter. Of course, in this time when it is raining, there could be whole mudslides coming down, whole mountain sides coming down. That's a different story. So both sides there will be problems in these young mountains. Yeah,
Okay, on a light heart, I'm just putting this thing out, but I think it brings out a sentiment that we also see in India. And so, if you don't mind, I'd like to take this one where
yeah.
the sentiment in India, which talks about, they're bleeding us and this and that. Well, yes, there is no question about it, but one must understand India. If India has larger ambitions in life, uh, Pakistan is Pakistan, and it is Pakistan. It's always gonna be Pakistan. You have to kind of try and see how to figure out a way between it, and that's the only thing I would say, because it's not about anything else. It's about the larger perception in the world as well.
We
So if a
have
couple
to,
of
as
countries,
a nation, look beyond Pakistan,
yeah,
above Pakistan. We are a nation far above Pakistan.
we can't
Okay,
keep fighting with
it's
these
not a
guys.
matter of being sentimental. It's a matter of principles. It's a matter of honor. It's a matter of a growing power and a responsible nation.
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah. Have we finished with it?
Just I think about three, four more there, sir. We'll just close them out.
I
Uh,
like it. Venki is come out with the right thing. Yeah,
Park
it
Army is the
gives.
only military agency in the world which volunteers itself for overseas policing assignments.
I agree with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
well, it's a interesting statement. Srinivas says, sir, what are the chances of people in Pakistan revolting against the army if they realize the army is the root cause of this suffering?
Look, Srinivas, it's a very fair question, but I don't think they look at it that way, the way we look at it. See, this Pakistan army is a two-faced army. It is the cause of disaster of Pakistan. It is also the savior of Pakistan. It is that force which binds Pakistan together. It is that force which depletes Pakistan. Everyone knows it depletes Pakistan, but they also know if you get rid of the army, Pakistan will crumble. So they have no choice. They are left with no choice. Yeah.
I mean, that's indeed a bad situation to be in. What if Pakistan uses the money that it's getting to, I'm sure that's what he means, to disrupt India and create communal disharmony, given the fact that Pakistan has been silent for too long since it has
The
done
money which it's
anything
going to
to,
get, Kshitij, is not going to be enough to create disharmony in India. Don't worry.
it's
उनके
not
पास तो,
that
that
easy anymore.
it's not that easy. They have 220 million people to feed, which they
And
can't
trust
feed
me,
together.
one thing is being seen, that if the country starts seeing stuff like that, there's going to be thrashing happening in the streets.
Yeah,
So
there are look. Pakistan is a very emotional nation and a very sentimental nation, 10 times more than us.
guys, they break
So
TVs when they lose a match. Yeah. So
match.
what do you expect?
So
They're going to
don't.
break.
Because this is only the beginning of this problem. You'll see this as it unfolds, how things go. So let's not jump the gun. Okay, done?
Okay, I think
Yeah,
last comment. Venki Saab's crazy.
yeah,
This is
yeah.
a crazy, absolutely crazy thing which actually happens. Pakistani is amongst the top 10 real estate buyers in Dubai.
Look, there's a
This is
reason for
mentioned
this.
as a
There's a reason for this. All the money which they're siphoning, all the elites are siphoning out of Pakistan, they're investing in Dubai because they can't keep it in Pakistan.
So I'd
If
like to
tomorrow
take a
some.
last one, if you don't
Okay.
mind. This is an interesting question, and this is something that we see happening in Europe as well. It says even aid can be sold in the black market and used to boost real estate prices in London, Dubai, and Toronto. Well, of course,
Possible?
I know the insinuation, but aid can be sold, and Afghanistan has been doing this for quite a while now.
Yeah, it's possible something will happen also. When a thing of this kind happens, aid will get skimmed. Especially money which comes as aid will get siphoned out. But if you give blankets to that nation, what will happen? Nothing much will happen. Uh, Even that can be sold in the black market. I'm not saying no to that.
come
So
winter, I
there
think
will be a
Europe is going to be caught with a
wherever there's
surprise.
a disaster or wherever there's a conflict, a black market will always thrive. Okay, and that black market will siphon money out, will siphon the system out. Okay, it'll skim the system, and all this what you're saying, property in London and Paris and Dubai, wherever, will get built. So let's not have doubts about that also.
And I'm sure if they send blankets, Europe will be a ready customer to buy it. They're not going to have heat this winter. Anyways, thank you everyone for joining for this. I think a very clean discussion on Pakistan, if I may, and we've not really gotten to Imran Khan, Shahbaz Sharif, and the politics behind the army chief's selection. I think this is one of the first discussions that has not come into picture. But having said that, I think it's a more well-rounded discussion where we've gone through the future and brought about certain points that you can understand what Pakistan is going to go through. And I'd like to also put across a very, very scary thought here. If we don't get our act together in India, it's coming for us as well. Look at two of our neighbors on either side having these issues, weather issues, water issues. So it's high time that we as a nation also stand up. Sir, thanks so much for joining. As always, guys, we will come up with a obviously a new thing which we will tell you for Sunday. Till then, it's a wrap for me, myself, and Janan Shankar. For the next time, before signing off, check your like button, check the subscription, and of course, yes, if you can, please do contribute to the DevTalks effort through UPI. Click join to become a member, or just click thanks. Cheers, sir. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind. Thank you.